Hi, I just want to introduce to you a recent tool that I bought. This one is the Stahlwille 6562-2250 parallel jaw pliers, parallel grip zangen. So they just had to emphasize made in Germany at two places. Maybe you can see this clearly. Okay, so looks similar to other locking pliers. Let's say for example this one I have. So very similar. It's a curved jaw, this one. So you can see the jaw rotating and gripping in, but this one is a little bit different. It's called a parallel jaw because of this. The jaw always stays in parallel. It does not rotate. The reason for this is the handles is only connected to only one of the jaws. So the other handle is not directly connected. There's an additional plate somewhere here, and basically you can turn the screw in. The jaws will all the way in. The jaw is always going to stay in parallel. It's a bit difficult to turn. And we're reaching the final. Ta-da! So again, if you move it, open and close, open and close. So the normal jaw will actually rotate, but this one stays in parallel. So I just want to explain to you how it actually works. So let us open again, full distance. So there's an additional plate here before it connects to the jaw, and this jaw also has another, I'm not sure you can see this, but there's another plate. There's another plate inside here in the middle. So I just want to explain to you how all this works. So I was looking through the linkages and I noticed, okay, basically, let's say this is the main jaw with the handle. So they have this linkage here which connects to the handle. So you squeeze the handle, so it just turns out. Now what happens is there's this hidden linkage inside here, and these two can rotate freely, and these two can rotate freely. Now what happens is I'm going to add an additional plate. Okay, so this plate, okay, holds a line at the same distance as these two pivot location. So let me just get this installed in here. So if I attach to one of the linkages only, okay, you can spin freely. I can attach it here, you can spin freely. But what happens if I something happens. Now let's see, this is the horizontal location. Now I'm going to try to turn this. You can turn, but you'll notice the motion is restricted. It is always parallel, always horizontal. It is always horizontal. You see here, you see here. And this is how it maintains its angle. So let us put this side by side. So what happens is that there is a plate here that you can't see, it's inside. Okay, and what happens is this plate is actually this piece here. So it's supposed to look like this. Here. So we'll turn again, and the plate here is actually the jaw. So again, I'm going to install this in, and so this one goes here, and basically the jaw is fixed, and so when you squeeze the handle, this plate will push up and squeeze everything in, and everything stays in parallel. So the mechanism is very different from adjustable wrench, which has a linear screw, and you can turn the screw in, it will just go in. And it's also different from pliers wrench. For example, from Knipex, pliers wrench, okay, they also have a rail, and this one does not have a rail. Okay, so that explains about the mechanism. So let me just give a review of this locking plier, parallel jaw locking plier. So one thing is I like about this is very all the mechanism works very well. They stay in parallel, and it's massive. The jaws are slightly thicker than normal. It's slightly wider than normal. Okay, the plates, everything is heavier. This plate is noticeably bigger, and they have it's noticeably heavier. So all the mechanism, the linkages, everything works well. Okay, the play is very little. Okay, I think you can hear the clicking sound, but that's the play. Okay, let us open so you can. Okay, this is in open position, so you can actually see it's very minimal, almost unnoticeable. Okay, I can actually see the play there. Okay, but it's very little, very noticeable. Now let me just the opening latch. Okay, they have an extra flap here. Okay, so basically when you have locked it in place, you have to press on the unlocking handle flap and then push out to open the jaws. Again, 2 steps. Unlock, push out. Unlock, push out. So let me just show you one thing I noticed about this is the build quality is pretty good. Let me just screw this all the way in. Okay, screwed all the way in. Let me just screw this even further. So I can close this. So what I'm going to do is I'll loosen this up a bit. Further. So now I managed to lock this in place with 2 hands. Now in a normal locking plier, you can't open this. If you tighten this much using 2 hands, you won't be able to open this. You need 2 hands to open it. You can't open it 1 hand. But with this plier, I can just okay, let me just try this again. I just unlock this and I can open this with 1 hand. So that's one thing. Again, let me just okay, I already locked it in place. So again, one more time. So you can actually manage to open it with 1 hand. Okay. So another thing is about this is the heavy build quality. Everything is thicker. The jaws are wider. The plates, the linkages, all of them are thicker sheet metal gauge. Let me just get a scale here. So you can see it's 710 grams. Okay, so that's at least 20 to 30, at least 30% heavier than a normal 10-inch locking plier. So what is this useful for? Okay, so basically it's works similar to an adjustable wrench. Okay, it's just that it has a serrated jaw instead of a smooth jaw. Okay, you can actually use it similar to like a bracketing clamp. Okay, but with a much stronger clamping force. Okay, so you have your other variants of locking plier where you have your jaws, they can freely swivel, and they also have a parallel jaw with a one pivoting jaw. Okay, but this one, this variants, they always stay in parallel and it's fixed. This way there's very little play when you clamp in. Okay, so basically if you want to clamp items that have a flat profile, for example here, so you can actually secure the items with maximum grip. Okay, so let me just explain about the release function again. So you would just unlock it and then open. Okay, about the negative part of this tool is I noticed the cosmetic part of this jaw, the pliers are not that good. Okay, there are a lot of defects. I'm not sure you can see. Okay, there are a lot of scratches and dents everywhere. So, for example, I'm not sure you can see all this stuff. Okay, but this, you know, they seem to have a lot of stain, dents everywhere, scratches. And again, if you look, okay, so if you can see this, it's not that clear, unfortunately. Okay, there is a scratch. I'm not really sure what kind of mark is that. Okay, all these are small cosmetic defects. Okay, I don't really like the the welding, all that, but I guess it's okay. It doesn't affect the operations. Okay, but one thing annoys me most is the screw. I'm not really sure you can see, but they're not. Okay, they're like some marks in there. They're not perfect, you know. You can see there's a dents here, everywhere, all along the screws. And when you try to, there's very little difficulty, but again, the knurling is a bit sharp. Okay, I feel a bit discomfort, and turning, you can actually notice it's slightly more difficult compared to my cheap Chinese made locking pliers. So that's it. That's my review for this Stahlwille 6560 6562 2250.